Hi everyone, so today's video is going to be about brow products, and this video has kind of been a long time coming because I've been testing out a lot of different products and a lot of different formulas, and I wanted to be able to talk you through the kind of best and worst in different categories when it comes to brow products. And I'm really into brows. I think brows are the kind of unsung heroes of your face, and people don't tend to focus on them as much as they should. And brows are something that I always notice about people. That's the first thing I notice, is whether or not someone's got a good brow. And obviously it's gone through different phases in terms of fashion. You know, the 90s were a very kind of thin, what people call tadpole brow, and we've all kind of over plucked our brows and that kind of thing. But I like the fact that now we've gotten back to a very natural, kind of thicker, more structured, more textured brow that I think looks more natural and is a very kind of beautifying look, and I think it also gives your eyes a really lovely frame as well. Now, I have got really dark brows, like the individual hair of my brow is black, so the colours I use obviously might not work for someone who is fairer than me and who has blonde brows and that type of thing. But as a general rule, I think always go a shade lighter when it comes to brow products, because if I've got black brows and I put a black colour in my brows, it would look really harsh, and I think that the key to filling in your brows is you want them to look natural. So if I take a look at my brows, I have got a kind of mirror propped up so I can sort of see what I'm doing, what I'm showing you. But if I take a very close look at my brows, you can see I haven't got anything in my brows at the moment. These are just kind of my natural brows, and I've got kind of small gaps here. They end a little bit earlier than they should, not tremendously, and they're not exactly the same. This brow is fuller than this brow, and it is very much that case if your brows are sisters, not twins. I totally think that's true, and you can get very obsessed with getting them perfectly symmetrical, and that is something that I think is very difficult to achieve, and you can end up actually ruining your brow. But the first types of products I want to talk about are powders, because they are the most easy to use products. The first thing you could do if you want to do something really inexpensive and easy is to just use a matte eyeshadow. Now, matte is key. You do not want shimmer in your brows, and just pick a shade that, as I said, is a little bit more a little bit lighter than your skin tone, and also I feel a little bit darker in tone. So if you go for something that's quite warm toned, it doesn't look as natural in the brow. I think a kind of ashier, cooler toned colour works better. This one right here is Crushed Walnut by Collection. Are they called? No, Natural Collection. I always get mixed up between Collection, Natural Collection, what was Collection 2000. Too similar for me. But this is a kind of nice matte shade that you would use a small angled brush. Now obviously you can use whatever brush you like. I find angled brushes are the easiest when you're trying to fill in your brows. So something like this, where the end is kind of very tapered, very thin, and you can really get into the kind of corner of your brow and really work it in nicely. I think that's absolutely key. So that's a nice option and a very inexpensive one. If you want something where you feel like you need to mix a few shades, then something like this is great. This is the Essence Eyebrow Stylist kit, and what this basically is it's got two shades in here. So you've got a darker shade and a lighter shade. So that would be a good shade if you're blonde. That's the shade that I tend to use, and you can really kind of work with what you've got, and you can mix the two together if you want to. And then my favourite at the moment is this little brow by MUA, and this is their Pro Brow Ultimate Eyebrow Kit. And this basically comes with 3 different shades. So the two bottom ones you would use as brow shades, and then that one's a highlight and that one's a wax to set it with. And I will use a little bit of this in my brow. I'll show you what I always do. So I'm going to use a little bit of the darker shade, and I always like to start at the kind of middle of my brow and work my way outwards, because I always think that towards the outer part of your brow is where most people need the most amount of filling in, and I always try and just kind of make sure that I'm within the perimeter of my brow, if that makes sense. So I'll just kind of go into the brow and really just evenly and kind of small strokes, and you want to use a small amount on your brush. Don't pile it on and then kind of think, oh no, I've put too much, and you'll need to take it out. Go kind of slowly and steadily. And then the wax here is really nice as well. I'll talk about kind of taming your brows in a second. Then another kind of type of product is the kind of eyeliner or felt tip type of brow, and these are kind of a relatively new thing on the market, and I absolutely adore these. The most unusual brow product for me that I'd tried was the Soap and Glory, the Archery. And what they basically describe this is a brow tint and precision shaping pencil. I'm not usually a fan of pencils, and this comes with 2 different products on each side, so it's great. The pencil is like this, and you can see it's just a kind of taupey colour. It's a nice kind of mid-tone taupe colour. This is in the shade blonde, but it works fine for me. And you can just fill in your brow with the pencil as you would usually. And then you can go in with the felt tip end, and the felt tip end of this is my absolute favourite product in the world. This is just fantastic. It's really slim. You can see it's just kind of like a liner felt tip, and I'll show you on the other brow, just on the outer part, how easy this is and what a great brow this gives you. It's very, very precise. The colour is beautiful. And then I discovered something that was quite similar to this, and this is the Cosmetics a la carte brow ink. This is a little bit darker in shade, so you do have to be a little bit more careful with this, and you can see the nib is not quite as fine. And if I put it here for you, you see the shade of it kind of is just a nice kind of medium taupey colour, not too dark, and you can really kind of get in there and create individual hairs because of the shape of the brush. So you can kind of really create small tiny hairs where you actually don't have any, and that's really great if you've got particularly bald patches in your brows. So I love these. And then what shall I talk about next? I'm going to do one of my favourites and then my least favourite product. My favourite at the moment has been the Benefit Gimme Brow, and this is just basically like a little mini mascara wand for your brows, which sounds a little bit insane, but when I got this, I thought I'm not going to like this. It's just going to be really gimmicky, and it's going to be like the kind of whole Maybelline thing where they don't really do much, but this has actually got fibres in it, so it helps to kind of add to your brow that little bit of bushiness, which is really, really lovely. And it's great if you've already got a little bit of kind of I want to say a little bit of bush in your brow, but that sounds wrong on so many levels. But it kind of adds a little bit of texture if you've already got texture there, and if you haven't, you can build it up a little bit. So I'll just add some onto this brow, and you can just basically brush it in, and it's great if you're in a rush to get your makeup done because it's really easy, and you can just kind of brush it out and then go ahead and fill in your brow if you want a really precise look with something a little bit more that offers a little bit more of a precise coverage, like the felt tip liner. And then this is a eyebrow pencil, and I'm generally not a fan of eyebrow pencils. I just think they've kind of had their time. They don't look the most natural, and I just don't particularly enjoy using them. But this one is by MUA, and granted this is a cheaper version, but I only bought this because I've tried so many other ones, and I know that I generally speaking don't like brow pencils, so I didn't want to buy a really expensive one because I knew I probably wasn't going to like it. Plus side of this is I do like the fact it has this little kind of spoolie thing on the end. I think that's quite handy. You can kind of brush your brows up and everything. But the shade of this is just really strange. I got it in, what shade? In blonde, because that was the only one they had, and like I said, sometimes I felt like taking a lighter shade is better, but this has got a slight shimmer to it, which I find completely bizarre. It's this one right here, and it's just got a slight sheen to it, which I think is really strange. It doesn't look very natural. It's just too soft, and I think the colour of something like the pencil at the end of the Soap and Glory one is much nicer because it's got more of a kind of grey ashy tone, and it just can give your brow a little bit more of a natural look. So this is nice kind of if you want to do the fronts of your brows, where you have to be more careful because it can look a little bit over the top. So just kind of pop that in there, and it's a very pretty natural effect. Then when it comes to kind of setting your brows in place, if I've used something like the Benefit Gimme Brow, I won't bother with that. That kind of offers you enough structure. But if I want something to keep the hairs in place, this is the lovely thing, and this is the Shavata Brow Tamer. My boyfriend actually uses this. He'll kill me for saying this, not that he ever watches my videos, but it's just basically like a little eyebrow gel pencil-y type of thing. It's got plastic little silicone nibs on it, and you can just brush that through your brow, and it'll keep everything in place and keep your brow looking really neat all day long. You could just use clear mascara. I have done that a lot before, but the problem with that is that the tube always ends up looking really filthy and disgusting, and that puts me off. This is kind of more self-contained. But if you wanted to use a wax, then something like the wax that comes in the Soap and Glory, not Soap and Glory, the MUA palette would be a really good option, because it just helps to keep your brow in place. So you would take your little brush that you've used to fill in your brows, dip it in, and then just brush it through your brows, and it would keep everything in place. But that is it for this video. I hope this was informative for you. I wanted to kind of round up different types of products and to talk you through what I thought about them and how I like to use them. I use some form of a brow product every day, and I don't feel complete unless I've kind of got my brows on. Even if it's like a Sunday and I'm not going anywhere and I'm having like a no makeup day, I still like to have something in my brows. I feel like it just really frames my face. So I would love to know what your favourite brow products are, and brow tips and that kind of thing if you've got any, and what your worst brow products are as well. I definitely did not like that pencil, so I'd love to know what your suggestions are as well. If you enjoyed this video and you want similar videos on other topics, then definitely let me know as well. Don't forget to give the video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and if you haven't already, please go and subscribe. I want to point downwards, sideways, I don't even know where the subscribe button is these days, it moves around all the time. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!